I think for me, my country is definitely a special place. I think we are placed in this area of the world that should be studied because we are literally at the end of Europe, but also at the beginning of it, and we are kind of this passage to the European side or the way out to the American side. I've always felt a different, like when you arrive to Portugal and it smells like Portugal and it tastes like Portugal, like that feeling is something that for me is always gonna last me. Hi everyone, my name is Yolanda and I'm here with Dylan for the Simple Life podcast. I represented Portugal at Eurovision 2024 and I'm super excited to talk with you, so stay with us.
Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, the Simple Life, and I'm really honored and delighted to be joined here by Yolanda. Yolanda, how are you? Thank you for being on the podcast.
I'm very good, thank you. It's an amazing day today. I've done my music stuff in the morning, so I'm enjoying the rest of the afternoon a bit free today, which is cool.
Okay. Yolanda, for anybody that's watched and been following Eurovision, you'll be no stranger to people, but maybe just start off telling us a little bit about you.
So basically, I'm a girl from a village called Pombal, a city called Pombal. I grew up doing music. My family was all about music. Even though my dad is a teacher, my mom is a child carer. But we've been with music with, I don't know, like every day there was something about music in our house, and I grew up like that. My sister also plays and sings, and I guess I just grew up with that dream of becoming a singer. Then I worked towards it, and now I'm doing my life like that, and I'm enjoying so much the process and all the adventures that I've been living. Yeah.
We often have this life here in Portugal, and then and everything's around us all the time, we kind of assume that, okay, we'll almost take it for granted. Was there anything that once you got to London and spent 2 years in London, that you particularly missed about home
Oof,
and
so
and learned
many
to
things.
appreciate? Tell
I
us about that.
think the sea is something that I was born in Figueira da Foz, so it's this amazing city with a gigantic beach
Hugest
and
beach I've ever
yeah.
seen.
Exactly. The sand part is like gigantic, it
Yeah.
never ends. I was definitely missing the sea, even though you have the Thames, but it's not the same thing. Uh,
It's not the same.
exactly.
It's nice. The Thames is
Uh,
nice, but come on, it's not the ocean.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like I was working a lot, so I used to study and work at the same time. So I
Oh, heavy.
I didn't have time to enjoy London the way London probably must be enjoyed. So I was working my hours, and back then I was missing my family so much. The food is something that I'm very Portuguese when it comes to food. I don't know exactly. Like I've never tried anything as good as Portuguese food, even though I'm a big fan of Indian food and Chinese food. But the Portuguese food, there's something about it. So yeah, those were the things that I was missing the most.
But just tell us what the song's about. So the title is Grito, is Scream.
Yeah, so the song is
Um,
about my demons. Actually, I'm screaming to my demons to get my life back, in a sense, to get my head in the right place, to understand that I should forgive people that are doing me any bad things, and
hmm,
to basically join together the ones that want me good. So that's basically what the song is about, to forgive the evil and to accept the good and to
interesting.
accept the trauma as well and everything that we go through in our life. And the backing dancers are my demons. So I
Okay.
wanted to, especially because I'm not singing in English, which is the language that everybody could understand more or less what I was saying. I thought, okay, if I'm doing this, why not to join like one or two pieces of other elements that could convey even better the story. So yeah, I've joined the backing dancers to have that sense of how do you say, like imagetic on the stage, so they could
Imagery,
kind
yeah.
of, yeah, so they can represent, in a sense, our
Hmm.
storytelling in movement. Basically that was it, and I was super happy because I think people were understanding the meaning behind the song. Yeah.
Well, it was interesting reading and seeing a lot of the comments that people made about the performance. One, excuse me, a lot of people said you shouldn't have finished 10th. You should have finished high, and I agree with that. So if anybody's from
Thank
Eurovision is listening, guys,
you.
come on. It should have been more. But the other thing that I found fascinating was people were really happy that you sang in Portuguese,
Yeah,
not just the
people love
Portuguese,
that,
not
which is
just the
cool.
Portuguese listeners, but everybody.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of the comments that I heard was people could feel the message of the
Hmm.
music without even necessarily understanding the lyrics. And I think that's quite special.
I guess I'm actually totally okay with for example songs in English. We had an amazing representation with Black Mamba, for example, and Maro's song has
Some English words, yeah.
exactly, yeah. So
Saudades,
she
yeah.
mixes, yeah,
She was
and it's
last year,
kind
right?
of last year was
Or
Mimicat.
okay, so
Yeah, she
before
was. I'm not
Mara
sure.
was the year before then.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then Black Mamba on the year before Maro. And for me, I'm totally okay with any language. I'm like for me,
Mm.
it never like it never messes with my head. But for me, it wouldn't work because I don't do music in English, and I don't believe necessarily that we should, as artists, do music to impress an audience. If you know what I
Mm.
mean, like you should do music because
Yeah.
you're doing music and because you want to. But it's very special to hear that people. And when I was reading the comments, I obviously went to the comments to check a little bit because I love to do that. Even sometimes with the hate comments, I'm totally okay because or they make me laugh, or I just feel sorry for the person that is doing them. But it's super cool to see that the images talk a lot, and that was what I was going for with the backing dancers. And then I think the melodies also convey a lot of pain, so that's why I believe people understood, or at least got the feeling, because music is feeling. And what I wanted more to make people feel was what I was telling, but in feelings language. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like not necessarily understanding the lyrics, because if you're feeling something inside you, you don't need necessarily to understand the lyrics. So yeah,
Yeah.
for me it was always Portuguese from the beginning. Yeah.
Looking for a home in Portugal? This break in Portugal, the Simple Life podcast, is brought to you by Dylan and his team of certified realtors at Portugal Realty. Portugal Realty offers the exclusive Simple Life home buyer program. Visit portugalrealty.com today and book your free call to find out more. Welcome to the Simple Life.
I think to live in a country that we live in, we're super lucky. And then when you take it to this other level where you're interacting
Exactly.
on a level with other European countries that are in way worse positions than what we are, and
Definitely.
people that are struggling a lot more, did that also make you see home differently as well
Super.
in
Yeah.
a new lens
And for me, even though I'm aware that we as Portuguese people we are passing through obviously some difficulties,
as well? Yeah.
especially money wise, the salaries that people receive are not great, everything is increasing prices. And I love the fact that sometimes people think that we artists shouldn't have a political opinion, but then I have to remember people, guys, we also pay bills. I also have to go to the supermarket. I also have to pay my rent. But sometimes people are like, no, but they should only sing. Why she's talking about that? She's a female. No, I have to talk about it because I also, I also have
I
my
live in the
my
same world. Yeah.
exactly, I do.
Yeah.
I don't have a sponsor that pays all my food. You know what I mean? It's kind of this is so silly to explain, but sometimes there's the necessity. But I am aware of the difficulties that my country lives. But I do believe that there are countries that are living even worse situations with no food, with no water, with bombs dropping all the time, with the raping situations. So for me, that was what mattered at that time. That was
Mm.
the situation that I wanted to talk about, even though I continue with my platforms to spread awareness with different other matters that also should be spoke about. But I guess it's there's times and times. And for now, and at this specific time, I think we had to join together, and I'm super happy because all of not all, but some of my colleagues back at Eurovision, we found each other, and we could talk about the situation and specifically think about what was going on at the time, and it still is, and to have at least a psychological strength together, so we could do a little bit of work towards that, even though it's so small and it doesn't exactly or necessarily changes anything, but at least the situation is being spoken, and that was my question. Yeah, that was my idea.
Amazing.
This is something very cool. I feel like I'm confusing everyone that is listening to this podcast, but but I like the ideas come to my head so fast. But I am thinking about the feeling and the image that I was having while doing the song, and I also like I've always imagined a lot of like epic vibes, like in Game of Thrones, and I do.
It had that element to it for sure.
Exactly. So I'm
Yeah.
like when I was doing the song, I remember asking Luad, okay, I love these drums, but can we put this 3 times bigger? And obviously he got scared because he thought we were, like going too much to that vibe. But then when we finished it, we were super, super happy with it. And I got those images, and I was getting those images while doing the song. And that's one of the ways that I write. If I don't get the images, I'm not exactly certain about the song. So I was getting those images and imagining scenarios of singing in big arenas as well. I had that thought, and yeah, I think that vibe happened, and it existed. Yeah.
Yeah, it was super powerful. There were so many different elements. There was dark. There was at times a kind of a medieval side
Yeah.
to it as well. There was some delicate moments. There was passion. It had everything. So it's a super cool song. So
Thank you so much.
congratulations. What do you want people, after being on the biggest stage, what do you want people just to know about everyday Portugal and everyday Portuguese?
I guess
What do you want to
it's
tell people about your country?
I think for me, my country is definitely a special place. I think we are placed in this area of the world that should be studied, because we are literally at the end of Europe, but also at the beginning of it, and we are kind of this passage to the European side, or the way out to the American side. And for me, I've always felt a different, like when you arrive to Portugal and it smells like Portugal and it tastes like Portugal, like that feeling is something that for me is always gonna last me. Especially, I remember going to London and then coming back, and every time I went back to London, I used to cry my eyes out, because I knew that I was going to miss so many things, even though I was expecting great adventures. But still, it's definitely a difference. I do believe that we as Portuguese as Portuguese people, we are exactly are definitely strong, loving people, and very, very, like there's very nice people here. I'm still looking for some change in different matters, especially with our culture. We should, as Portuguese people, we should respect more the new culture that is coming to our country, and respect the difference, because I think it's something that the world is living some differences, and I think we should accept it, because things are changing, and we shouldn't go towards it, because everything changes at a certain point.
What in Portugal are you like, no, that needs to stay exactly the way it is. We don't want to change that.
Oh, bacalhau com natas, for sure.
Yeah,
No, but food.
second
I don't love, like those things with, like, experiments with food. I'm not a fan. Like I like my grilled fish. I like my regular bitok, and I do like my yeah. I like simple food. Yeah.
So in the context of a festa that we were speaking about earlier, the traditional festas, the aldeia,
I love your accent, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Let's change the music a little bit, but the food and the wine we've got to keep the same.
That would be very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm on
That would
board.
be very
I'm on
cool.
board with that.
A little bit of house folklore, but the bifana will be the bifana.
Don't change the bifana. We had an episode with a very well-known dentist, and the title of the episode was "Don't Change the Bitok." Like,
See?
just keep the bitok,
Exactly. You can change the music for me all you want, but the bitok, please keep it with the egg and the fries and the rice and the salad and everything.
Exactly. Yolanda, what's one thing that you would like people to remember and take away from our conversation?
Oh, to talk about freedom, to talk about love, to respect others. That's what I try to do with my music, especially with the things that I live, and to sing a lot, to remember to see art. Here in Portugal, if you pass by, please go and check our museums, our theaters. There's so many cool things to see. Not only the beaches and the wine, even though it's also very cool, but there's so many art happening in our country that you should visit. And if you're living here, please support culture. That's my take.
Awesome. Yolanda, a question that we ask all of our guests.
Ooh.
Portugal, the simple life. Why?
For me, it gives me peace of mind. And I do believe that if you have good friends, good music, and a lot of fun, you'll be happy. So yeah, I'm happy here in Portugal.
Love it. Thank you so much. I've loved this conversation. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'm going to let you call it.
Ooh, how do I do this?
That's a wrap.
Just that?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thank you for watching, for listening to us. That's a wrap.
So thank you once again to our guests, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal The Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it. It's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to The Simple Life.